Hello, 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 and Happy New Year from us to you here at the Full Quota Pod. This is the Full Quota Podcast. This is your number one South African cricketing podcast. We talk all things cricket, South African cricket, domestic cricket, even the Proteas. And yeah, we're going to talk about what happened last week. At the beginning of last week. And then we will be going into what is it? The SA20 today. That's what we're going to be talking about today. But we are sitting on the other side of the India series. South Africa have drawn with India 1-1. But before we go into that, please do follow us on X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at One World Sports Radio, as well as also follow us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts at Full Quota Podcast. The name is down there. Just type it in and you will be able to find us. Okay, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, mate. Despite the result, the test match, all good, all good. Can't complain.
Yeah, no, actually, let's go into that, right? That test match was something else. South Africa losing to India in that second test. They lost to India by 7 wickets. It was a low-scoring test. Nobody scored above 200. And we saw the capitulation of South Africa in that first session where they lost all their wickets for 55 runs. And from then on, Tim, it felt like South Africa were never going to win this game. They did try to bring themselves back in because with what was happening on the deck, if you found the right areas, you could find yourself in good stead. Especially with the 150, with South Africa taking 6 wickets for no runs. The wow that SuperSport were going over. Lungi and Kagiso was just insane then, but it couldn't be. We saw an incredible 100 from Aiden Markram as well. Probably the only person who could bat on that pitch with the skill that he has, and finally he went deep into his bag and did. The only question for him is we need consistency. I know what you've been doing for the last 18 months. Please keep doing it. It's all we need. The frustration with Aiden is that he'll have a good run of form and then he goes off. But that is in life. That is every cricketer. But somehow, somewhere, he gave them a lifeline and India shut the door very quickly and go home with a 1-1 draw and a test match that ended in a day and I don't even think they were halfway through day 2.
It's the shortest test match in history by 14 balls.
Yes.
Yeah,
but what do you think, Tim? What do you think of that?
So I put out not a well-constructed tweet. It was around about the time where India were about to collapse. They were about 120 for 3 in their first innings, and I said something along the lines: "This was a good pitch." Now, subsequently, I think we can all agree it was not a good pitch. We can agree that there was too much inconsistent bounce on a particular length. As you rightly said, if you got it on that particular patch, it either went right the ankles or more predominantly it became a real slaughter. We saw Bedingham's dismissal at the first innings. There's nothing Bedingham can do about that delivery. He went across to the ball, got forward, and the ball just kissed right at the top of the shoulder of his bat, off a good length. And there's just nothing you can do about that. Look, it's difficult, but I think both teams batted terribly. I really do. Even with the fact that the inconsistent bounce did make it more challenging. It was never a 55 all-out wicket. I think you could have got 200 on the wicket. I really do. And I think South Africa, they missed a trick in that second innings. Those wickets on day 1, right at the end they lost, proved to be very costly because I think with Kyle and Bedingham at the second innings, they got a little bit scared. I think they saw that pitch and they thought, well, we're going to get out, so let's go and play T20. I don't
Yeah.
think that was necessary. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't a good pitch, but I firmly believe it was not that bad. You could still see yourself in and be
Yeah.
positive without being reckless. And I think South Africa missed an opportunity there. I think they could have won despite only scoring 55 at the first innings.
Yeah, and to a certain extent that was my thing. Those 3 wickets in the back end of the first innings, and the messaging coming out of the dressing room around no, it's not a pitch we liked. You got to be a little bit more aggressive, led by the SuperSport commentators. Where I felt no, aggression is the last thing you need. You just need to figure out which length you need to leave, and take time out of the game, right? So try to leave as many balls as possible, tire the bowlers, make them bowl away from that rib snorting length, whatever it may have been. And if it is there, don't go for it, right? If you've got your off stump covered, that's okay, right? And to a certain extent, I kind of felt we went away from what fundamentally was the basics to attack anything outside the off stump, attack anything that's full, because surprisingly guys were getting caught in the slips and not being caught by the wicketkeeper with a ball that's rising with a little bit of extra bounce. You're getting caught on the drive, you're getting caught with your arms flailing everywhere. Calverain twice. And so my thing was, okay, cool, so we're just now saying it's a bad pitch, it's a little dangerous, so we're gonna try and be on top. And I get in terms of imposing yourself on teams and everything else, but I felt India were the ones who could have done that. And I felt in that first innings, that's where India tried to do, but they fell short. In the second innings, when they were chasing that 80, Rohit and Jaiswal just climbed on top and imposed themselves. But South Africa had no right to impose themselves. They were never in the position to impose themselves. You're bowled out for 55. You need this innings to be 350 minimum to give yourself a chance of winning the game. And you never even got there. You got to halfway. And it also comes down to the team selection, right? When they looked at the pitch, I don't understand how they, because there was a lot more grass than I've seen on a Newlands pitch in a while. And so,
well, I'll only just say in the defence of South Africa, both captains would have batted, so both captains read it badly.
No, both teams read it badly. Well,
Yeah.
I'm talking about the South African team composition. I'd have still kept the 7-4. I didn't see I saw the need for Keshav. I'd have dropped the Seamer, and I would have gone with 3 seamers and a spinner. But obviously hindsight is perfect science. But that's what I thought they were going to do. I didn't think that they'd take away an extra batter. And I do think that extra batter kind of brings them in the game a little bit. So, for instance, if Keegan Peterson is in there, who was man of the series, won man of the match in that Newlands Test 2 years ago, I think it would have made a great deal of sense. Even if as you picked Zubair Hamza. Because I didn't understand the Tristan Stubbs at 4 thing in a test match in a 4-day game. I understand he's amazing. I understand he scores runs. I understand he's the type of batter you want. It's the same thing with Aiden Markram. They look pretty. They look great. But is Tristan Stubbs at 4 the right position for Tristan Stubbs? I don't think it is. I think it's at 5 or 6. And to throw him into this and then come back and say, no, I apologize to him afterwards, tells me that I don't know. Maybe we need someone to check Coach Shukri and Rob in terms of their selections, because this thing just didn't make sense. He's dropping someone who's going to New Zealand in Keegan Peterson. He brought in Zubair Hamza into the squad. I thought Zubair go straight through so he can get some test match practice. I didn't see Keegan Peterson getting dropped. And then what's the messaging to Keegan Peterson, Tim? Are you that bad that when we come back at the end of next year, you're never going to be playing for the Proteas again because you played one bad shot against India and you were never given an opportunity after that? So I don't know.
Look,
I was a lot more confused than I was coming out of Centurion, and going into New Zealand, I'm just going to go into a whole lot more confusion because I know someone's going to score 100 and someone you didn't expect. And so yeah, that's where I'm sitting. Yeah, just wasn't.
yeah, I'm sure we will get into it, but I tend to agree. I've got a lot more questions than I did after Centurion, and we both did warn the fact that we saw problems with not having a head of selectors. I think that's a problem. I think giving free rein to the coach, complete carte blanche, I think that is an issue. I think there needs to be, even if it's one person, there needs to be somebody going, listen, that doesn't make sense. We need to go in with this one. For the points that you just raised, you're going to New Zealand. Keegan Peterson needs runs. He's not in form. He needs runs. He needs to play. If he plays, he could have scored north of that pitch. Fine, that could have well been it. Tristan Stubbs' selection has not progressed his candidacy for test status. It hasn't. I think he can play test cricket, but that performance hasn't. And that's not his fault. That for me is on Shukri. It made very little sense to me.
And look, Tristan's had a great season. He's had a great season, right? He even scored that 113 SAA. So he's got the ability to play test cricket. And I do think, and maybe this is what other South Africans have wanted, right? This is Shukri going young. Everyone's wanted to go young for years. Where are the young guys? Here they are. But we're putting them in roles that I don't think make sense. I don't think Tristan Stubbs has the defense similar to Aiden Markram to play as a 4. I think Aiden can play as a 4 with that defense largely because of his ability to attack. And he's got a slightly better defense than Tristan Stubbs. But I look at Tristan and I was like, this kid was like swimming in the deep end.
If you get Tristan is hard hands. And there's one thing you could not do on that pitch is hard hands.
With hard hands. It was
hard hands on that pitch, you're gonna get out. For nothing.
And this is the frustrating thing with Aiden, right? Is that he normally comes with hard hands, but somehow, somewhere in his bag of tricks, in that skill bag that he had the ability to navigate that pitch the best way of anybody in that. And that kind of tells you the level of talent that he has. If you watch that thing and you go look at Aiden Markram's numbers, from an expectation level, you should be disappointed.
Yeah.
Because that's the type of 100 that Sachin Tendulkar scores. Yeah. Even Virat Kohli wouldn't have been. Well, he could have. I thought he got a really good ball from Kagiso in that first innings. But it's that type of thing, you know. Everyone talks of the Fab Four. I thought Aiden would be, hi guys, here's number 5. I'm number 5, and I'm actually better than all of you. Which, from a talent perspective, he is. The problem is, what is he doing? And so I would have even taken Vian Mulder, honestly. But as your 7th batter, right? To be like, no, Vian come in as a bowler, and you do that. So I've got a lot of questions, but let's move on. The other question is, Heino Klaasen now is retired. We were told in the press conference before the series that Heino Klaasen has a chance because we're going to go to the subcontinent next year. I think we're going to Bangladesh or something, and he will get a chance, right? Because he's one of the best players of spin in the country. And Heino then this morning announced that he's retiring after like 6 tests, which then he's like, the Proteas baggy cap will always be there. And I'm sitting there going, that thing is green as ever. I don't even think you've washed it. But anyway, congratulations on a small but memorable test career, Heino Klaasen. Now that it just opens up another can of who's going to keep wicket in Bangladesh, because Kyle Verreynne, even though we spoke with him a couple of weeks ago, he's just throwing his wicket away over the last 2 days, over the last 2 games. And so I just don't know, Tim. I don't. Do you give Kyle another chance, or do you call my friend Ryan Rickleton?
The thing that the retirement does, and I to me, it doesn't make much sense to me. It seems to me it suggests there's some kind of a breakdown. I'm not saying that there is, but that's, you know, Shukri has backed him, brought him back in, said he was the main guy, and then all this happened. Putting that aside, it does make the situation for Kyle and Rickleton a lot clearer. It basically says it's a shootout.
Can I put a name in that hat?
What was very clogged up queue has now become a very sort of a much smaller queue, shall we say? But just go ahead.
Can I clog up your queue even more?
You can.
There's a certain Warriors wicketkeeper batsman named Sinatema Qashile who is having a good season, 40 average of 44 in the runs in SAA. He didn't make it to New Zealand, which is a problem for me, but I would like to clog up the queue with him.
He certainly puts his hand in the queue. He certainly puts his hand at the hat. That's undoubtedly undoubtedly. I hope that we have another A series along the way between the tours of West Indies and Bangladesh, so he can get that stint and then take it from there. But look, you could certainly make an argument for him to be in the squads for either of those tours. Certainly.
Yeah. And Ryan Rickelson,
I'd
come in as a specialist batsman as well.
Yes. I'd still back Kyle for now. You can't have a yo-yo situation.
Yes.
But the questions are still there, but I'd still back him for the moment.
Yeah, it's that foot movement, eh? The moment the pace goes up a little bit more, it becomes a bit of a situation. But anyway, he'll adjust. He did. He's managed to score an international century, which was in New Zealand. Wish Kyle was in New Zealand, but he's not going to be. So the whole point of this show, before we spoke about how disappointing the Proteas was to do an SA20 preview, and that's what you came to see, right? So you've arrived 17 minutes in. I hope we've kept you here along the way, but if you're not, just click on the number and on the notes and you would get here, but you already are here, so thank you. We're going to look at the teams. Last year was amazing. Sunrisers won out of nowhere. They qualified fourth or third in the playoffs, and then they took the Joburg Super Kings down. They took then the Pretoria Capitals down, who looked like they were the winners. So we're going to have a look at the teams. We're going to have a look at the of what they are, and maybe see if we can predict now who's going to be doing well and who's going to be in that final at Newlands in February. The only thing I'll say about Newlands is Newlands does not look good. The mountain looks great. The stadium does not look good. And don't talk about the pitch. Just talk about the stadium. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go. SA20 starts on the 10th of Jan with the champions in Gqeberha. Sunrisers Eastern Cape. They've met up. They're doing their things. And now they are ready to go. They won the first edition. Now the winner of this edition will get 70 million. But let's go through that team. Aiden Markram is the captain. Othniel Bartman, Marco Janssen, Tristan Stubbs. Patrick Kruger comes in for Sisanda Magala. That was announced this morning because Sisanda's injured. Adam Rossington, the overseas pro, the wicketkeeper. Daniel Worrell, also an overseas pro. Sadal Arvia, Ayak Kamane, Tom Abel who's from the UK. Jordan Hardeman, who is a sensation in himself. Liam Dawson, coming in to take over from Rulo van der Merwe, who was the leading wicket taker last year. So then they brought in Simon Harmer as also cover in the spin department. David Malan, Temba Bavuma, Andile Simalani, Caleb Seleka, and Bear Swanepoel. On the face of this, Tim, the Sunrisers team has everything you would need to defend. The only issue is the injury to Sisanda Magala and Craig Overton. From a fast bowling point of view, it's going to put a lot of pressure on Tom Abel as well as Bear Swanepoel. I think he might even make it into the starting 11. That low middle order last year didn't fire. It was all Aiden and anybody else who could hang around with Aiden. Tristan Stubbs will also be looking to put down some numbers this year, even though he looks like he's coming into form.
Yeah, look, it's an exciting team again. I think Liam Dawson is an upgrade on Rulof. I said that a few weeks ago when we sort of touched on him coming in. I think it does touch all the bases. It'll be interesting to see if they bring in a replacement for Craig Overton. there is a place there that they could bring in somebody.
They better not take
At this,
Duan.
hey,
They better not take Duan Olivier.
So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. If they do anything at all.
Yeah.
It's those first 5 players that are going to be key. Those first 5 players that we mentioned: Markram, Bartman, Jadson, Stubbs, and I think Patrick Kruger. I think Patrick Kruger is going to be a really good addition for the setup. It's unfortunate to sign this out, but Patrick Kruger, not as good a bowler, hits the ball hard, hits the ball a long way, very exciting cricketer. Still got a lot of ceiling to reach for him. He hasn't reached his potential quite yet. Still only 25. I like this team. I really do. I like the team last season. I like them this season. I think they've got a genuine chance of defending the title.
My thing is this with this team is I think if Tristan Stubbs finds form, this team is dangerous. The only problem I have is, do they have seamers who can bowl the death overs? Bartman needs to grow in his fast bowling career. Bear Swanepoel is someone who I think is a great fast bowler, and we'll see that, and I think he'll actually play a lot of games. And then obviously the other thing is I like Patrick Kruger. I think he's a really good all-round cricketer. I think he's a really great lower middle order player. And he's in form this year. He's scoring runs, he's taking wickets, he does everything. And I like the fact that they've gone to him. It kind of felt like Patrick Kruger was busy at home in Gqeberha, and they gave him a phone call and said, "Hey dude, can you just come through?" So yeah, so that's a good pickup. This team looks really good. I wouldn't be surprised if they're in the playoffs again. And obviously in T20 final, semi-final, depends on who's on form and at the right time. So yeah, so they didn't start off well last year, but then they picked up momentum and finished in 3rd position last year. So something similar to that could be great, but the power of Aiden, the power of Tristan, and the power of Marco needs to come through with bat and ball. And yeah, you just need a death bowler here, because I think they had Craig and they had Sisanda. Now they've got no one, unless if Bartman and Swanepoel are going to step up. And I think that's where their season lies. Is one of those guys needs to step up. And also you need someone who's going to take over from Rulof's wicket taking, right? You've got Dawson. You also have Simon Harmer. So those are the questions that I have, is how does your bowling look like with all these injuries and also Rulof not being there? Effectively, you've lost 3 of your frontline starters in the bowling attack, Mafana Mava, Sisanda, and Overton. So yeah, how do you fix that? But it was an interesting pick. It was the last pick in the draft for Dale, with Bear Swanepoel. So it's interesting to see how he goes. But let's move on to the team in the capital in the north. They came second. They last year were number 1 on the log. They won 7 games out of the 10. They looked as though they were going to win it all. The Pretoria Capitals, Paul Sterling, Will Jacks, Tiernus de Bruin, Steve Stolk, who's the rookie, but he's only going to come after the Under-19 World Cup. Shane Dadswell, Riley Rousseau, Colin Ingram, Matthew Boast from SA Under-19, Senwan Muchusami. You've got Jimmy Neesham, Ethan Bosch, and Corbin Bosch, because they want to do the whole Bosch connection. Wayne Parnell's the captain of this side, with Phil Salt, who's coming back as well. Kyle Verena, Adil Rashid, Darren de Pavalon, and Miguel Pretorius. When I look at the side, Tim, I am obviously Anut Nokia is injured. I sit there going, they're pretty much saying to themselves, more of the same boys, more of the same boys. We lost out last year in a final. It was an anomaly, but we can still be the same dominant side we are, with Phil Salt and Will Jacks at the top. Then you have Riley. Then you have Colin Ingram and Shane Dadswell. Also, Jimmy Neesham can hit a hard long ball. Ethan Bosch was top 5 wicket taker last year, so he's going to have to step up. And I look at this team, and there's nothing more I can say, but again, I'm going to crown you champions elect. Okay, Oh yeah, you can say that, champions elect. That's my pick for champions.
And to be fair, we said it last season. We said the best balanced side. I love the Sunrise team because of the local impact. That's the big drawing card for them. But this team is the best picked squad. It covers every single base. You talk about the bowling slightly weakened the Sunrisers. The bowling in this team is not weakened. It's got the death bowlers. It's got the Ethan Bosches. It's got the Dupavalons. It's got all those guys that you need to do the business. It's got Adil Rashid, fantastic bowler in this format. Full Assault is gonna Full Assault has potential to be a leading run scorer in this season. He's been doing really well for England in recent times, despite the team struggling. It just ticks all the boxes. This team, it is seriously strong, and it's a team that has done the hard yards. It's looked at who's doing well, who's going to be most effective, who they need, who do they cover the bases. This team is nigh on perfect. Nothing in life is perfect. This team is a 9.9.
And if you had Anuf Nokia, it would have been another problem. But I'm excited for this team. I think they have it all. It's also an interesting one to see Carl Verena probably get a fuller run in this format as a wicketkeeper. But obviously we'll see if one of those top order ones will take the gloves. But even like Paul Sterling, a guy like Paul Sterling normally starts here. He might even be sitting on the bench to start the tournament, which is good. And they've got replacements in case the English guys need to leave soon or early. I think they've got their bases covered, and they are. I called the MI Cape Town the blue Ferrari. I do apologize. There's a light blue Ferrari in Pretoria driving around those Jacaranda line streets, doing the things, and it's the Pretoria Capitals. They are. I don't know how teams can beat them and with the way they played last year and how dominant they were last year. It's gonna be quite interesting, and also the Miguel Pretorius, the Ethan Bosch,
I was gonna say
the Wayne Parnells, and you're like, guys, but wow.
It's a great audition for Miguel to say, you know what, I want to play for the Proteas. This is the next level. I'm playing against the best of the best, and if we look at we'll get into it, sure. This is a better standard. I think this season is going to be a better standard because the players that have been picked are an upgrade from last year. Last year we were a bit quick when we were picking all the squads. This team, everybody has thought out who they need, what they need for South African conditions. Much better.
Yeah, and shout out to Werner Erasmus, who helped out the Pretoria Capitals in their selection. I'd have actually loved to see Steve Stark play as the rookie. Explosive under-19 opening batter, but the under-19 World Cup is in the midst of all of this, and they're the only players who are allowed to go and play for their country. The senior men are not allowed to, but we'll move on. Move on to my team, my home team, the Joburg Super Kings. They start with Captain Faf du Plessis at the top with Rize Hendricks, which is probably the most explosive opening pair you can ever get in this tournament outside of the Pretoria Capitals. They've gotten Sibonelo Makanya again. Wayne Matson coming in from the UK as an overseas pro, even though he was born in South Africa. Romario Shepherd coming in. Again, he's going to be quite important for them. Carl Simmons, Moen Ali, that's a massive upgrade for them. David Visa, Dan Khalim, Ronan Hadman, Donovan Ferreira, Nandre Berger, Gerald Kutsia, who's injured currently, might be available at the back end of the tournament. Lazard Williams, Aaron Pangiso, Sam Cook, who's also a pacer from Essex, Zahir Khan, the left arm wrist spinner from Afghanistan, and the wild card pick, Mr. Number 99, Imran Tahir, who looks still like he's got it. I watched them yesterday, Tim, in the warm-up game that they had against Namibia. Tahir and Zahir Khan are going to be a problem. And let alone Moen Ali coming into this middle order, it's going to be quite something. And you're missing a name, Tim. Les Deploy.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. I was looking, I was like, where's Les? But anyway, Les Deploy, because he batted really well yesterday, scored a 50 against Namibia, who were quite a formidable outfit. I look at this team again, similar to the Pretoria Capitals. I can't look far from this team. Joe Kutsi obviously is injured early on, but Nandre Berger is cooking, and he's going to get a lot of game time this time because of his form coming into this tournament. Zahir Khan looks really good as an overseas pro. Imran Tahir looked good yesterday. The question obviously is, which all-rounder do you pick? Do you pick David Visa? Do you go with Romario Shepherd, who gave you the type of impact that he gave you last year? They did pick David Visa in a pre-auction and Romario Shepherd in the auction, so that kind of gives an indication of what they're going to do. The top order is the top order is the top order. From 3 until 6 is a lottery. Who's going to score runs for this team? We don't know. We know how explosive Donovan Ferreira is. You don't want him to come in too early. We know what Lewis Duploy did last year. Can he continue that? Wayne Matson is a new prospect here, 40 years old, coming into this Joburg Super Kings. Hopefully, he'll give them something that they need. Moen Ali might even bat at number 3, which I think would be quite cool for this team. And yeah, so it's just that middle order, because after Faf and Riza, and maybe Ronan Hardman will open with Faf and Riza will come in at 3, and you'll have Moen Ali, Les Duploy, Donovan Ferreira. That gives you something, but they kept on losing wickets in the middle order. That's something they need to worry about, and that's what they've tried to strengthen. But from a bowling perspective, I think that's where this team is going to do it. I think this is probably the best bowling attack out of SA20. Even with Gerald Coetzee not fit, I think they can do something, especially with those spinners, and especially on the coast. Like, they're going to start in PE. The Sunrisers is just going to get bamboozled by spin. It's going to be Zahir Khan, it's going to be Tahir, and then it's going to be Moen Ali. So it's things like that, and I think that's what the JSK are. But what do you see with this team?
It's the bowling, as you rightly pointed out. They have strengthened the batting. The fact that they got the Moen Ali signing over the line, unlike last season when he decided to go to the Emirates, that's a huge one. That, for me, just gives a glue between that top 6 and the rest. That gives a glue. Wherever he bats, you're right, he's such a versatile cricketer. He's going to offer you guys a hell of a lot. In a general sense, it really is. It'll be interesting to see how many overs he gets with Pangisa and Tahir in there. But you could have Pangisa, Tahir, Moen, all bowling in the same game. Would be quite something to see. It really.
That's when we go to Durban to play the Super Giants. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
When you play in Durban,
it's a shame about Gerald, because I would love to see Gerald and Nandre in the yellow together.
Yes.
Hopefully he'll be back at, as you say, in the important parts of the tournament. But it's the bowling. It's the bowling that is exceptionally strong. What needs to happen for them is obviously Faf's going to deliver. The evergreen Faf.
Riza has to as well.
Thing, as you rightly point out, is Donovan. Because I think there's a player missing. Somebody like Donovan's got to dominate. Donovan's got to do what Phil Salt did. Donovan's got to do. He's got to do something like that. He's got the potential. He's got the numbers. He can do it. We know he can do it. We need to see more than just a 25 of 12. We need to see big
80 or
from him.
60.
Yeah,
more often than not.
Numbers.
Okay. The other team that made the playoffs were the Paarl Royals, led by Josh Butler, or David Miller this time. Josh Butler was the leading run scorer last year. He's their wicketkeeper overseas. Obed McCoy returns. He didn't play last year, was injured. Now he's back. Bjorn Fortuin. You've got Dane Villas, Fresco Adams, Lungi Ngidi, Tabre Shams, Luandre Pretorius, Fabian Allen, Gwena Mapaka, Andile Petluguayo, Cody Yusuf, Evan Jones, Jason Roy, Mitch van Buren, Vian Libba, John Tucker, and Lorcan Tucker. Tim, I look at this team and like
John Turner.
John Turner and Lorcan Tucker, sorry. Tim, JP Durham is obviously coaching the side, which is why he wasn't with the Proteas for that series. The batting is exciting. The bowling is, if you guys have a good season, they could do something. And for me, I look at this and I see an average side, an average T20 side. It depends on the form. I'm out on Jason Roy. Josh Butler is exciting, and we know that, but who's going to support him? David Miller can. But outside of that, I don't know what this team. I think this team needs another auction, and they need to like literally start again. But to a certain extent, they've done really well to get to the playoffs last year. But for me, I look at this Paul Royals team. I like Obed McCoy. I think he might add something different because that's what they were missing. Fabian Allen is an intriguing prospect as an all-rounder. And Gwena Mapaka is unavailable. And I would have loved him to open the bowling with Lungi. Tabrez is still there. Petlugua is still there. But it's a lot of guys who you need to have like an incredible month of cricket and be on the hot seat now going in. And I look at this team and I look and I'm like, the only person who's on the hot seat is Mitch van Buren. But the question is, how many games is Mitch van Buren going to get? Evan Jones hasn't even received a game for the Lions. Like, what's going on? Like, how does this team? And it's one of those things where this team could be performing above their level because they all are working as a team and they all know where they where the insufficiencies are. Bjorn Fortuin is going to be a big player for them, bat and ball. And it's going to be interesting to see how he does that. He could potentially be leading wicket taker, but the question is, everyone else, like it's every other team has got like stars and guys you look to. And I know you say Josh Butler, David Miller, but we need more. And I don't think they have more.
It's this team's gonna struggle this season. But just a couple of updates that were made after I we set up this team. So Proteas and Mpho are both out of this. They have been replaced by Keith Dudgeon of the Tuskers, and Nkwapa Peter from the Lions. They've replaced those two. Yes. So
are you serious?
It's not an upgrade to people who don't know those players. It's not an upgrade. No disrespect to those guys that have come in. It's not an upgrade. It's a downgrade. Particularly, I think their bowling is fine. They can get by without Mpho, although I think he's a huge talent. It's the Proteas potential that could have been so explosive
at the top. Yes,
it could have got them off to exceptional starts. I like Keith. Keith Dudgeon is a fighter. He's a bowling all rounder. He will contribute a bit with the bat, but he's not going to contribute a hell of a lot. He's more going to be getting wickets in those early stages.
I'd be lucky if he gets game time. I think they'll go with Petlugua a lot more now because it was about back end of last season. They used Petlugua a lot more, and Cody Yusuf is going to now have to take a larger role in the side. And again, still not at the level of everyone else.
Yeah, he's been open to bowling for the Lions, so it's not like.
How have the Lions been doing?
I know, but I'm trying to bring a positive spin on it.
Yes, look, it's an opportunity for these guys, and I think that's what this team is. It's some guy that nobody knows, or some guy who is playing at a level that isn't at that one, needs to get to that level and blow the doors away. And the internationals are, outside of Josh Butler, the South African pros are okay. I think they got the back end of the litter. I think Shamsi's on a decline. Lungi's got injuries and he's somewhat on a decline. He hasn't improved. He's a great bowler, but he hasn't improved much, and that injury is my worry. And then what else? They took a flyer on guys who did well in the CSAT20 the previous seasons, and those guys haven't come through. They need them to come through. They need Evan Jones to be like that Evan Jones of 3 seasons ago. And if he's not going to be,
the thing that could be very, very crucial for them is if you look at the South African players last year, that they didn't have great SA20s. Very few of them actually really shone last year's SA20. This is an opportunity for the guys we've just mentioned to say, you know what, this is our time to shine. I don't think there's going to be too many people predicting them making the playoffs, but this is a great opportunity for them. But I agree. I think that it's going to be tough. T20 is a lottery, but I think they're missing, particularly the batting. The bowling, I think they can get by. It's their batting. They're missing at least 2 players in the batting, and I think that's problematic.
Mm-hmm. Let's move over to the teams that didn't make the playoffs. The Durban Super Giants were nearly there. They found a way to tick up at the right time, but it wasn't enough, and it's kind of precipitated with the start of Heino Claessen's insane run of form last year. Jason Smith, Matthew Bretzke, Tony DeZorzi as the new wildcard pick, Bryce Parsons, Joanne Pretorius, John Smuts, Kimo Paul, Carl Mayers, Penelin Subrian, Vian Mulder, Heino Claessen, Nicholas Puran, Quinton de Kock, Junior Dala, Keshav Maharaj, Naveen Ohak, Nur Ahmed, Reese Topley. I look at this team, and just like last year, they were missing a couple of batters in that middle order. I don't think they have addressed it. What I do think they will find is that Tony DeZorzi is good enough to play T20, and he's going to shine like nothing else. I think that was one of the big things for this season. They still have a lot of all-rounders. Nicholas Puran's an interesting pick, and it'll be interesting to see how he does. He needs to do well along with Quinton and Heino Claessen. Last year, it just felt it was Quinton and Heino, and they need someone else to put their hand up between Bretzke, DeZorzi, Puran, and Bryce Parsons actually to do stuff. Carl Mayers, if he can stay for the whole tournament, that'll be great for them, because he started off well and then didn't go through. His bowling's also going to be quite interesting. And yeah, again, I look at the bowling of this side, still very much the same as last year. Not a lot of quicks, just Reese Topley, and everyone else is just giving me nothing else. They will take wickets. They're a very nifty team, similar to their coach Lance Klusner, just middle, medium pacers who just move the ball around, that type of stuff. And so, yeah, I'm just worried about death bowling. I'm worried about fast bowling. They've got spin on lock. They even got Nur Ahmed from Afghanistan. It's just a question of, can you find that third batter who's going to score you some runs to take you into the playoffs? And also, can you find bowlers who can take wickets, and not spin bowlers, but fast bowlers? And I think the pace question for this team is seriously underwhelming.
Okay, I'm going to put a positive spin on it. I gave them a lot of flack last season. I really did. I really got stuck into them. While I agree with most of what you said, I'm going to put positive spin.
Okay.
Teams that are successful last year was the Sunrisers. They got success by playing at home. Their home record was really good. It ended up being really good. Maybe
yes.
not at the start. I think with that bowling attack, that could be a very, very difficult for opposition teams to play against. Guys that are not quick, but on those conditions, on those home Durban pitches, they are going to cause a lot of trouble. I think Noor Ahmed is a fantastic signing. I think he's going to be very, 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 very difficult. Vian Mulder has been bowling well this season. His batting is another topic. Bowling has been really good. Keshav, we know his quality as a spinner. He'll be doing wonders over there. The one problem I have is the pace bowler that they've picked. They needed to get a pace bowler, at least, which they've done. Sunrisers picked 2 injury-prone guys. Both of them are out. Craig Overton and Santa Magalo. Look at the injury record. It's not good. It's not good. Both of them. If you look at Reece Topley, he's always injured. He's just been to the West Indies with England, got injured. It's a huge risk to picking Reece. I think it's very likely that he'll break down. I'm hoping from a Durban point of view he doesn't, but if he does, then you've got serious problems because, as you rightly point out, there's nobody there above 130, and that is an issue. Particularly away from home. Issue. I think they could be difficult at home. I think they're going to be difficult opposition this year. Particularly if Claessen and Quinton come off and Bretzke does well. But away from home, they're going to struggle big time.
And to a certain extent, like in the draft, in the auction, right? They could have taken Bear Swanepoel. They went with Jason Smith.
I would
That
go
tells you
Bears.
everything.
Yeah,
That tells you everything about this team. I just like, okay, so you guys don't care about
yeah,
fast bowling at all.
yeah.
It would have been a great
Well,
opportunity to have Bear Swanepoel playing. He would be
yeah,
starting for this team and
yeah.
playing, even if it's away games on the high felt. He'd do quite well. So yeah, I'm just worried about this team. They just need to hope they get flat pitches wherever they go, and the Quinton and Heinrich just dominate and keep dominating. That's literally where they're sitting, and they're lucky that Heinrich caught fire at the end of last year. It wasn't enough to get them in, but they caused a bit of a stir against the Pretoria Capitals when they blew them away. So hopefully we get a lot more of that. And yeah, I think if Kyle Mayer stays for the whole season, I think they've got something with him because he's also quite dangerous. And yeah, good to see that Johnson Charles is no longer here. So well done on not bringing him back. That's a good one. And also sending Simon Harmer away to bring another spinner in, just weird. This team just loves spinners. I don't get it. John Smuts, good luck. And he's probably going to be even bad at 7, the way this thing was going. Anyway, last team, the team that we thought had everything because people love young players. People love this exciting thing. MI Cape Town looked like they were the more organized franchise out of all of them, but they came and lost. And this time, they don't have their captain and Jofra Archer. So this is who they have. Rassie van der Dissen, Liam Livingston, Sam Curran, Ollie Stone, George Linder, Björn Hendricks, Duane Janssen, Deva Brevis, Ryan Rickleton, Grant Rulofsson, Delana Potgieter, Tom Banton, Christopher Benjamin, Neelan van Heerden, Thomas Kaber, and Connor Esthuizen as the rookie who's going to be available for this team. Karen Pollard and Nuwan Tushara, who's come in to replace, I think it was Jofra Archer, one of Jofra Archer and Rashid Khan. Karen Pollard will also be the captain of this franchise for MI Cape Town. I look at this team, Tim. I don't know what this batting is going to give me. I really don't. Diervald is exciting, well done. Tom Banton's exciting, well done. Liam Livingston used to be a world number 1 T20 batter. Can he get there? I don't know. Rassie van der Dissen, he's on the decline from a T20 perspective. Ryan Rickleton's exciting, didn't get a lot of game time. He did, but didn't light it up. So I don't know. And from a bowling perspective as well, I'm not excited anymore. They've lost their 2 key cards. They do have Kagiso Rabada, who was also missing on this list. But yeah, I think KG's going to be quite important for them. But after KG, I don't know who else.
Yeah, apologies there for the missing KG.
Why?
Anyway, no, this is no. This team will get through the playoffs just by the experience of somebody like Pollard. If Pollard has like a really exceptional tournament, then maybe. But there's no. They miss so much from those guys that they're missing. They are missing so much. Liam Livingston is not the player that we saw in the Mzansi Super League. He's not the player. He's a different player now. He's not. The potential's there, but it's been a while since he's actually dominated a bowling attack. There's lots of questions there for me. Last season, I said that I wanted to see somebody like Chris Benjamin in. I'm a huge talent of him, but this is asking a lot from him to be a prominent member of this team. I think he is exciting. I think he is going to be innovative. He is a sort of a 360 player. So you're going to see sort of funky shots from him. I think he's a exciting talent. Tom Bampton, I think, has returned to some level of form, but no, this team it's not strong enough in either department for me. And as much as I like the wicketkeepers in this format, no, it's not where I'd be going. I'd be going with one of them. I would not be going with both of them in the same team. I think.
Yeah, I don't think Grant plays. I think Grant's just going to be a backup. If with this team, you're gonna every time you watch them play, they could score 200 or they could score 120. That's what this team is. I think Diego Brevis has grown as a cricketer, and they're going to be reliant on him a lot. And I think with the money that they are paying him, they need him to be one of the top run scorers in this tournament, and that's the goal I think for him. The goal for him is to score about 300 plus runs in this tournament. If he does that, he gives MI Cape Town a chance. Tom Banton needs to acclimatize quickly and start scoring runs alongside him. And if Liam Livingston can relive the Livingston days, then yeah. But I look at this team. I think they might be fighting. I don't think they will make the playoffs, but yeah. I think that's it. But Tim, who are the 4 teams making the playoffs for you?
Sunrisers, Capitals, Joburg, and Durban.
Okay. I actually have the same. I have the same list. I think.
Yeah.
Sunrise, Capitals, Joburg, between Durban and Paarl, one of those two. But I don't think Paarl is going to get there. And to a certain extent, the way I see this tournament, there are 3 really good teams, and there's 3 teams that are average at best. And those are the last 3 we actually went through. And it sadly might be a repeat of last year, but you could get a Cinderella story like the Durban Super Giants, who I think are the dark horses, because if they can get favorable pitches, and if they can get a lot of the games in Cape Town, like the playoffs in Cape Town, are going to be quite interesting, right? Because if you can get through, I think they have got a bowling attack that can cause problems if Reece Topley is still fit. So all reliant on Reece Topley being fit and being able to play. But outside of that, I think they're the dark horse. So who wins it, Tim, this time?
Yeah, it would be. No, I don't want to say the same as last year. That would be. I'm going to say Joburg if Gerald plays enough games. If Gerald plays enough games, Joburg will sneak it. Joburg and I think Sunrisers will make the final. Give Sunrisers another chance to do it, and Joburg will do enough in the final.
I think it's a Pretoria Joburg final at Newlands. And I think Pretoria and Joburg finish 1 and 2 in this tournament. Over the regular season, and I think Pretoria wins it. Because that Pretoria team is a watch. It is a watch. You know, every other team has weaknesses. That Pretoria team have covered everything. The Capitals look, they're really good. They're really good. Okay, Tim. The first match starts on Wednesday. The Sunrisers take on JSK in some sort of a repeat of the semi-final. But hopefully this time we get runs. Just Aidan Markham blew them away in Centurion. Reeza Hendricks scored a really lovely century, but in a losing cause. You want more of that to start off the tournament in Quebec. So please do check that out. We'll be bringing you updates on SA20 as we go along with our weekly podcast. We're also going to do interviews now with some of the non-SA20 players just to give you a flavor of what life is like in domestic cricket in South Africa. And just to get to know some of the faces that play every week. Tim, do you have any last words around the SA20?
Go and watch as many games as possible. The list is too long, but the selections are a huge upgrade on season 1. If you look at who's been selected and who's no longer there, it's a huge upgrade. We've got more players. Because of the rookies, we've got better players. It's going to be a better standard. It's more competition for the South African players, so they can have more competition. There's every reason to go and watch it. As many games as you can. And enjoy it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it.
Yes. Tickets are available at sa20.co.za. Do check it out. It's going to be a great tournament. I'll be roaming around Gauteng, going to watch some games. Might become a Pretorian for the season. There's 5 games in your area. Wherever you are in the country, please just go support. I like it. It's a great tournament. It's the second best T20 tournament in the world after that one in India. I think it's just that good. and South Africans have the talent, and you'll see that on show. So I'm excited to see the guys on the fringes who are going to do things, the Swanepoels, some of the Nondre Burgers who are going to get a run. Even Kyle Verreynne. I think Kyle Verreyne's a good T20 player, and I think he might even be an important part of that Pretoria Capital side. And so that's what you want to see, right? And that's what you hope to get out of this tournament. Outside of that, to all the teams, good luck. Thank you very much, Tim, for that and all the help with the lists. And yeah, we'll be back with more podcasts. Please do watch the space. And yeah, it's SA20 week. We're now talking T20s until February, because February is a test match month. Outside of that, it's for myself and Tim. Goodbye and Lesale Kakahiso.